Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take just one piece of information and really try to crack it open and get right to the heart of what you need to know. Today, we're diving into something. Well, it's deceptively simple on the surface. It's a report from the Washington Post, dated July 24, 2025, and the specific title is Thailand-Cambodia Border Clash. That's it. Now, our mission here, our deep dive, isn't about the tactical details of the clash itself, because funnily enough, all we have is that title. The title, the source, the date, that's our entire source material today. So instead, we're going to unpack the significance, like what does it mean that this report even exists? What can you learn just from that fact to quickly get up to speed? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? How much you can potentially infer, or maybe how much we're sort of guided to infer from so little. Just those few words. Thailand-Cambodia border clash. And the source, the Washington Post. And that date. The mere fact that a major publication like the Post identifies it this way, well, it immediately flags it as something noteworthy. But it does more than just that, I think.
Right, it's literally just a handful of words: title, date, source. But coming from the Washington Post, that seems to immediately elevate it. Why? Why does that specific combination pack such a punch beyond just, okay, something happened?
Well, it's a textbook example, really,
Yes.
of what we sometimes call agenda setting in media studies. By putting this headline out there, the Post isn't just, passively reporting. It's actively telling its readers, a global audience, hey, pay attention to this. This is an important issue. You should be thinking about this. It inherently signals this matters, international significance, driven by what makes something news, conflict, proximity, impact. Things like that.
That's powerful, just by choosing to report it. And the language, too. Border clash. It wasn't border incident or border dispute. Clash. What does that specific word choice, that framing, tell us?
Yeah.
How does that start shaping our perception right away?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. The choice of clash, it immediately suggests something more active, potentially, armed conflict. It doesn't sound minor. It ramps up the perceived severity compared to incident or maybe tensions rising. It creates a very specific mental image for anyone reading it. And that's framing in action. How you present the issue influences how people understand it, the weight they give it right off the bat. It shifts it from maybe a small disagreement to something, well, potentially serious, demands attention.
So, okay, we have the source signaling importance, the word clash signaling severity. And this isn't just a random event plucked from nowhere, right? It fits into a history, particularly in that region, Southeast Asia. What does the simple existence of this headline suggest about the ongoing relationship between Thailand and Cambodia, even if we don't know the specifics of this particular event?
Well, absolutely. It slots right into a known context. Thailand and Cambodia, they have a, let's say, complicated history, especially regarding their border. There have been significant disputes, sometimes quite heated over the years. Some are still sensitive. So when a headline like Thailand-Cambodia border clash appears, it immediately resonates with that existing narrative, that background of regional friction. For anyone following the region, it suggests, maybe a flare-up of old issues or a continuation of these underlying geopolitical fault lines. And that makes it newsworthy internationally, especially for those tracking stability there.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. We have so little concrete information, just the title, the date, the source.
Yeah.
What are the dangers or the limitations in drawing conclusions from something so sparse? How could our understanding be shaped or maybe even distorted because we don't have the details yet?
Yes, that's a really crucial point. It highlights the information vacuum problem. While the Post reputation gives the headline credibility, right, the lack of immediate detail means our minds rush to fill the void. We rely on our existing knowledge, our mental shortcuts, maybe even stereotypes about the region or about border issues in general. Those fill in the gaps. So our initial understanding is built almost entirely on inference, on the framing, not on, granular facts about what actually occurred on July 24th. And that can easily lead to misinterpretations or maybe overreactions. It's a bit like seeing just the very tip of an iceberg. You know something significant is there under the surface, but you have no real idea of its true size or shape. That headline, border clash, it's just that visible tip.
That's a really helpful analogy, the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So for you listening, especially if you follow global affairs closely, the real deep dive here isn't just acknowledging this headline is important. It's understanding how such a minimal piece of data, a headline from a trusted source, can instantly recalibrate our view of a region's stability. And what that reveals about the media landscape we all navigate. It's kind of a shortcut to being informed about how information itself works, its initial impact.
And this raises an important question, I think, for you to consider. When you see a headline like this from a source you generally trust, how much of your instant take is shaped purely by those words, by the implicit framing, and how much comes from the deeper context, the history, the narratives it immediately triggers in your own mind? How conscious are you really of that agenda-setting function in the news you consume every day?
Right. So what does this all mean for how you perceive international dynamics, not just in Southeast Asia, but anywhere? Just think about the power inherent in the simple fact that a report like this, with this specific title and source, exists. It really makes you consider how our mental map of the world is constantly being updated, redrawn sometimes, maybe just by a few carefully chosen words and a reputable name attached, instantly shifting how we see things. Something to think about.